Hello and welcome to this episode of Shared Screens Media Club and our eternal spoiler cast. I am your host, Lear Jazz, and I am joined by Albob, aka Alec.
Hello.
I'm joined by Chance, whose screen name I don't remember.
It's Perchance. How we doing, chat? Sound off in the comments if you knew my screen name.
And Jim Tasty, aka Brett.
Going on, let's go. Ready.
All right.
Tasty's
so...
in the house.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So this movie's 1,000 years long, but generally speaking, what were our feelings on it?
That was kind of a meh. Like, I enjoyed it, but literally my friend and I that I went to go see this with, we dozed off like during all that exposition at the beginning.
No, you didn't. I cannot believe.
Like it was just one of those, like, I didn't realize it, and then I kind of got woken up by something, and then, or like stirred up by something, and then I looked over, I saw that he was dozed off, and it's like we both kind of woke up a little bit before the Amazon scene. So from then on, it was great. I loved it from that point on. But
yeah,
that
you
first
woke up at a good spot, at least.
That first half hour or so kind of dragged a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, for me, I think overall I liked it. I felt that for me there's a lot more positives than negatives. But yeah, to add to Alex's movie experience, I had this bomb pretzel pizza at Alamo Draft House. It was amazing. So
you saw this at Alamo?
Yeah.
Dude, I am so jelly. I'm jam right now. I cannot believe that you have an Alamo that close. That's so dope.
Yeah. So yeah, that pretzel pizza was amazing. So good.
I'm not gonna lie, I thought you were gonna say a bomb threat when you started off. I'm like,
no.
Jesus.
Hey, he started off the bomb. Like,
we're in a much happier direction.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The best possible direction instead of the worst. You done with your thoughts?
Yes.
All right. I really like this movie, you guys. I think it is so good. Yeah, it has its problems for sure, but just like, I don't know. It's been said before, but one of the biggest strengths and biggest weaknesses is that it's nothing like anything else in Marvel. But the fact that, like, low-key, Thena is like one of the best characters in my opinion, and going into it, like, I thought Angelina Jolie was going to be like a huge stinker in this movie, and just, I don't know. I went in with like the lowest expectations, and I was super surprised. Like, I take that back. Pleasantly surprised. It does have its issues, but
yeah, I really like this movie.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I was scared that I wasn't gonna like it because I saw all the tweets saying that it was like dull and slow. And I said before we started recording to Brett, I love Chloe Zhao. She's like, I just think she's like fantastic, and I'm so excited to see where her career goes. And I'm a sucker for like 90% of the cast. Like the second Richard Madden and Kit Harington got announced, I was like, anything else that happens, I don't give a fuck. Like, I don't care. Yeah, it had pacing issues. I'm somebody who kind of subscribes to the idea that I don't think there are many movies that need to be over 2 hours. I think if you're running over 2 hours, you're probably having some pacing issues. But with a movie like Eternals, I'm willing to forgive it a little bit just because it is a part of the Marvel universe we've not really touched at all. So there's just a lot to explain. And like when you have that much to explain, you're gonna get stuck in exposition dumps. There are only so many like interesting ways to write. Hey, remember when we were in Babylon and like did this thing? Like there's only so many like ways to do that. So also,
and they're
like,
not sorry.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
And they're also not guaranteed a sequel, so like they need to get this information out, but all of it. Like ideally, I think they would have liked to have broken this up into multiple parts. And as a viewer, I much would have preferred like 2 hour-and-a-half long movies instead of what we got. But I think that like they had their one shot, and I think, what is the director's name again?
Chloe
Emma
Zhao.
Chan. Chloe Zhao, that's right.
Mhm.
Chloe Zhao did like such a good job of like at the end of the movie, I understand exactly what happened. And like while you're going
Yep.
through the beginning of it, it's kind of complicated, but I do think that like this being their one shot to get all of this shit out there, I think that she nailed it
Also, like, just visually stunning.
for
Oh
sure.
yeah.
Like, just a visually stunning movie.
Like go see this in the theaters. It
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There are very
And
few movies I'm like, you should see this on the big screen, but this one I'm like, it's so pretty.
and like not to get like I know this is a spoiler cast, but we're kind of keeping it spoiler free for this first part, but just for the Celestials and the scale, go see this on the
Yo.
biggest screen you can.
Yeah. Yo.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. That shot of Ajax, Salma Hayek's character, in front of I
Yeah.
don't remember the Celestial's name. I didn't really catch it during the movie,
It was
and
like
then I just
Ashraham, something like that.
Arasham, right?
Arasham.
Arasham.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I Ajax said it for the first time. I missed it, and then every other time they said it, I like wasn't positive of what I was hearing. But also, I think this movie was super well cast.
Oh,
I'm so
yeah.
excited. Yeah, like I'm so excited to see Kit Harington with Oscar Isaac and Mahershala Ali. Like that's gonna be such a cool trio going into like that part of the Marvel universe and
We
like
all know that's who the voice was in the post-credit sequence, right?
yes, we're all
Mahershala
aware.
Ali's
I saw the
Blade.
tweet
Okay.
later. Yeah.
Just wanted to make sure.
One thing I really liked, I saw a tweet today, as of recording that because it was Simu Liu was like congratulating, Eternals for having a great opening weekend. And then Kumail Nanjiani replied just saying, Kringo and Shang-Chi
Mhm.
gotta meet up. And I'm like, a Kringo and Shang-Chi series would be hilarious.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It would be so
Um,
perfect too.
Yeah. Can we also talk about how Bill Skarsgård was in this movie and I didn't realize it until the credits rolled?
I didn't either. I was like, wait, who
Yeah.
is he? Like,
I was like, where was he? And then I was like, oh good. He's just monsters now that I don't like. That's what he's gonna play now.
that
Um,
that that was probably one of the weaker points of the movie for me. Was the
yeah.
whole deviant side of
For sure.
the conflict.
Mhm.
I didn't know where we were going, where it was going.
Mhm.
And like to the like
The
not
answer is
what
nowhere.
yeah, and like not what the deviants are, but like why he was evolving into a creepy alien thing.
Yeah.
And he kind of looked like a grasshopper. If you made like a grasshopper stand up on like its hind legs, like
I thought of praying mantis.
Mm.
yep.
Thought of.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um I love Cersei. I think Cersei is one of my favorite female characters in the Marvel universe now. Gemma Chan just did such a good job with her and like I don't know. She like her and also Professor Kit Harington can do anything he wants.
Step on me, daddy.
Like that scene where he's teaching all the little kids, I was like, "Yep, I get it. I get why you went from Richard Madden to this." Like,
Also, shout out to him just going to Atlanta for 4 days, doing his stuff, and then getting the bag and then getting out of there. I appreciate that hustle, man. Also, he had a freaking FaceTime scene in this movie. I love that. That was awesome. So cool.
I was so bitter because I don't know if any of you guys were fans of Game of Thrones, but I love Richard Madden and Kit Harington. Rob and Jon Snow were like
Mhm.
Jon Snow and Rob Stark were like two of my favorite characters, and I was
Mhm.
always like annoyed that they didn't get more time together because they really just have those first two episodes and then they
Yeah.
separate and never come back together.
Mhm.
And I was so excited for them to be in this movie together. They spend 2 minutes together and then never interact again. I was like,
Mhm.
fuck, like come on. Yeah, I just like this new era that we're in of Marvel where like we got family driven shit and like the stories are more about people being dumbos. And I don't
And
know.
like
I just like I really liked that.
I as much as the kind of like at least for me the first part was needed to help set up all that like family chemistry between the Eternals.
Mhm.
Um
Can we really quickly talk about all of the places that they go? Because first off, when they were like showing them showing up in Ethiopia or whatever, wherever the birth of
Mesopotamia.
Mesopotamia.
Mhm.
Like, my immediate thought was like, why are these a bunch of white people? This immediate thought. And then second thought was, oh shit, they went to the Hanging Gardens of Babylon, and that was the coolest thing that they did the entire movie for me. Like, I don't know if any of you, and like this one of the seventh wonders of the world, but there's like no like actual like record of it, or like we
Yep.
can't find the ruins or whatever. I thought that was like the coolest shit ever. And then they just kept doing that with like the Spanish or the Spaniards invading South
Mhm.
America, like
Mhm.
in the Mayans and all of that. Anyway, I thought the time periods they picked were so good.
Oh yeah.
And I also really like that they, in the same way that we got with in Thor 1 when Darcy is like, if these aliens came down, like ancient people would have thought they were gods.
Mm-hmm.
That they did that with Gilgamesh. We find out that Thena was the inspiration for Athena. They just added the A. Icarus is just a story that Sprite made up for fun.
That
Like,
was my favorite one.
yeah. I want to know if that means that the myth of Circe in Greek mythology is also like just something they made up because they were bored.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't understand why Richard Madden was Scottish. I'm gonna throw that out there. We were
Yeah.
all British, and then Richard Madden's just like, I'm gonna be Scottish over here, even though I don't even think that's what Richard Madden actually is. I'm 90% sure that man is British.
Maybe he
Yeah.
just spent an extended period of time. It's,
Well, because we know he was kind of checking in on Cersei probably from
Verb.
time to time, so he was right, right next door.
He was just being like a sheep farmer or something up there in Ireland, herding them sheeps, and then he'd take off and fly over and take an eye on Cersei, and then head back by morning. That's
Yeah.
not Irish, but it was close enough.
It's fine. Okay, I'm gonna bitch really quick about people on Twitter.
Okay.
A lot of people on Twitter were like freaking out that they mentioned Superman and Batman, and I just need to take this opportunity to say that canonically, DC Comics exist in Marvel as stories and vice versa. Like that is because they are technically in the same like ultimate universe. It's like canonically it's two brothers,
Yeah.
and one of them is god of Marvel and one of them is god of DC, and they just like do their thing, but like each exists in the other, and every so often the brothers are like, hey, what if we made them fight and make them fight?
I didn't have an issue with it. I think the issue people had with it was that it was like more of a meta joke than anything.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys have read the Watchmen graphic novel or watched the movie, but like in
The
that
movie.
world, like there aren't superhero comic books because there are superheroes in real life. So there's like pirate
Mhm.
comic books or whatever. So I think the line of thinking is like if there was Captain America in the 40s, they wouldn't be writing a Batman comic book. You know what I mean? Like, or maybe
see-
not. I don't know.
And see, I took it the other way is that like they had already been writing comics about Captain America and these real life superheroes. So then like another company like DC exists because it's like all fictitious
Yeah.
like superheroes to
Mhm.
them.
Yeah.
That was just a fun thing that like Captain America like inspired DC. It was like a fun thing that like, well, what if Captain America was like super powered?
Mhm.
Could shoot lasers out of his eyes. And then it
Mhm.
makes sense in
Yeah.
my head.
Um, yeah, I don't know. Like, I loved all the characters in this and how they chose each one handling just being stuck on Earth when they didn't plan to be necessarily, and Ajax telling them to go live, that she becomes like, I don't know, a rancher in South Dakota. And like,
Most
because
boring place possible.
why not? And you have Cersei becoming, uh, some fucking type of historian,
Mhm.
um, in England, and
No,
and
she's an Instagram influencer. Didn't you peep that at the beginning?
I didn't know what was happening with that part. I also this is
I
the
kind of liked
again,
it. I'm not gonna lie.
yeah, I don't I liked that it was like we came here and like humans are cute and like look how sweet and small they are. And like when Ajax is like 5 years ago, Thanos, obliterated half the universe, and the people of this planet brought everybody back with a snap of their fingers. I'm like, yeah, like I would feel the same way where I'd be like, they're pure. I don't want them all to die. Like, look
Mm.
at them. Look how cute they are.
Look at this little box they made.
Yeah, like I just like I really enjoy that. Like Festus being like, I made a steam engine, and Ajax being like, that will scare them.
Yeah.
Can't do that yet.
Tone
And
it
Druid's
down a
like, they've
bit.
only had and Druid's like, they've only had fire for like 1,000 years. We can't like start this now.
Little too soon there, bud.
Yeah, just well, hold on a second. We'll get there. I didn't love Sprite, I will say. I don't know if it's because the actress was 12, but having her be in love with Richard Madden made me uncomfortable.
I didn't care about that. I just thought she sucked.
She sucked, but
Yeah.
not
Like,
the actress. I think the actress did a good job, to be clear. I don't want to bully a
Yeah.
child.
Yep.
No.
But yeah, just fuck you, my man. Like
She
you're
just
immortal.
Yeah, and just like so you love him. You don't need to be a bitch and like stab me with this like what is that the blade? What is that blade
Yeah.
called?
Old dagger kind of thing.
Obsidian or something? I
No,
don't know.
it's Damascus, but I'm talking about like it's the second blade that like the samurai had that like they would use on themselves. I forget what it's called, but that's like what she stabbed her with. Like anyway,
Yeah.
like
I can't find it.
not cool, dude. Your family. Why you do that?
Yeah.
I'm like, yo, I get that it sucks that you're perpetually like 14. However, chill. Like
So-
just chill.
So that makes me get into some of the deeper themes of this movie, or just questions I had of like, why did the Celestials or Arishem make Sprite 12? And then also like, why did they give them free will if they had to carry out the specific plan? Whereas, because that's what they explained with the Deviants, was like the Deviants were created to do the same thing, but they were just so much of a loose cannon that they just started doing their own thing, and then they make
They were able
more.
to evolve.
They make more creatures that have free will to do their own thing, like stuff like that.
I kind of took it that they were programmed to do it because like Icarus couldn't let go of the mission, and that's why he flew into the sun, right? Like that's why he killed himself. Is like he was going to kill. It's not a part that I'm gonna like defend. It's not.
I'm
well
sorry,
told.
I just got really confused when all of a sudden Icarus is flying into the sun.
Oh no, I hated it. I hated every minute of it.
Like,
It wasn't
this is
until
like,
I
really,
read.
they really
choice.
did this. Like,
Yeah, it was like
come on.
I appreciate it, but like have him say like I can't remember where it was at, but they were like just have him say something about like I can't do this, I'll kill you, and then he full yeets it into the sun. Like then it makes sense, but just like having him like turn around and just kind of like,
Bye.
Yeah, hated that. But I took that as like they had all defied their programming except for him.
Yeah,
I thought the way I interpreted that was he was so far down the path of following the mission that he just didn't see any other way of going against it or going against the Celestials. So he was like, "There's no point in fighting against these guys." But
yeah,
I
can get that.
So speaking of Icarus fucking off into the sun, again, just very weird choice. I got a little confused at this point. I was like, I've been with you the full 2 hours that got us here, but this is where I'm starting to get a little confused. Jordan wanted me to bring up that do we think he's actually dead, or do we think he's even more like Superman and he's just gonna come back like more powerful from the sun?
No, he dead.
He's dead, yeah.
I don't know. It's a classic movie thing. If you don't see the body, you don't know. You know what I mean?
So that was
The
my
body
other
burned
thing,
up.
too.
I get what you're saying though.
I did. In that scene, was he burning up as he was flying in, or was it just him getting closer to the sun and then they cut away?
I don't know.
I can't remember.
Yeah.
And I feel like out of any of them, he's like the one guy that might be able to.
You raise valid points that I hadn't thought of before.
take a sun bath, like
He just flies through
sunbathing.
the sun, keeps going.
He comes back like super powered, like instead of just the one gray streak, it's all gray. Super
Mhm.
Saiyan as
God.
hell.
Yeah.
Goes Super
Um,
Saiyan.
Mhm.
I also just hated him flying into the sun because Richard Madden on that rock going through that like deep emotional turmoil and like the one tear, like it was such a well acted scene, and then he's like, "Okay, bye. I'm gonna go fly into the sun."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stoically, like has to film like this the last scene of his movie.
Yeah. Um Also, this cast is far too attractive for their own good. Like
Mhm.
just everyone in it is amazing looking, and I'm like,
Well,
okay,
you're casting, perfect beings, might as
yeah,
They
well
did a really good job picking
might as
them.
well
yep, they
go
did.
for it. Yeah.
Mhm. And
Um,
the pairings that everybody kind of went off with was really good too.
Mhm.
Tina
Like
and
Gilgamesh and
Gilgamesh, like,
Athena.
yeah,
I
Mhm.
like that like they all had history though, and it definitely felt like very organic, like the way that Sprite and Kingo like had dipped out on Sprite. I
Mhm.
like that
Mhm.
there was like all this interplay, and then the scene where Druid meets up with
Makari,
Makari. Yep, I
yeah,
just pulled up the list so I could
Ma-
remember
Makari's
the
dope.
names.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. But also, it's just like, oh, here's a new character and a new dynamic. And Kingo saying, I hate this. That may have been the thing that like hit the hardest with me. That was so good.
yeah.
For me, I felt like Druig and Makari's like energy was better than Cersei and
Oh,
Icarus.
Oh,
Ikari.
absolutely.
Yeah.
anything was better than their energy. I'm going to be real. The sex scene was hot, but that was it.
Which like I like those two characters on their own, but
Yeah.
it's just whatever, that connection wasn't the strongest part of the movie, even though that was the kind of the main plot.
I will say I did really like, and I don't know if I liked it just because the shot was so cool when they were in. I actually have no idea where they were, but they're in between the rocks, and Icarus is like apologizing for leaving and telling her that he like Cersei that he still loves her and all that shit. And he goes to turn away, and she comes up behind him and like grabs his hand from like. She doesn't turn him around. She
Mhm.
just grabs his hand. She like kisses the back of his shoulder as the sun is setting behind them, and they're in that like they're where they fucked.
Yeah.
That's the only description I had to give of where they were. It's where they had sex, but later on.
Uh,
Um, that was just such a beautiful scene, and like she handled that. I think Chloe Zhao and the writers handled them saying goodbye without it being a conversation of "oh, you betrayed me" and all this stuff in a really cool way.
Mhm.
Also, I loved Thena coming in and be like, "We do not have time for you to sit here and mope about this. Like, we got shit to do, my man." Like,
Mhm.
I
We
loved
gotta
her.
get. Yeah.
Yeah, like you need to get over this, like, and we gotta go. And then Festus comes in, starts to say the same thing. She's like, I already gave the speech. Like, we're good. Like,
yeah.
we're going here. Like,
Mhm.
um, also, props to Marvel for Makari and how they handled her being deaf.
Mhm.
Um, I liked that they didn't just make it that she had learned to lip read and they had them actually signing and using the subtitles.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Um,
Which
and that it
like
was go ahead.
if I run into anybody that review bombed it for that reason, I'm gonna throw hands because that was honestly one of my favorite touches. It's just
Oh
like
yeah.
out of nowhere that pops up, and I was like, "Oh hell yeah!" And then they have a dope ass explanation of like why, because like she's all vibration based, and like she can hear better than anybody actually. But like anyway, like
Yeah.
Makari is secretly the coolest character out of all of the Eternals.
Mhm.
Yeah, and it's
Agreed.
yeah, and it's basically because like the Eternals basically have coins that they can spend on their powers, and she was like, I just want to be really fucking fast, and like put everything there, and
I
so
will
she's fucking
say
dope.
they did super speed so well in this movie where they didn't do any of the slow mo.
Yo.
They're just like, no, you're just fast. Like the
You're just
Best
dope.
super
punches,
speed.
the punches to Icarus, like just into that side of the mountain there, was so cool.
And
Yeah,
when she was
for sure.
holding him and just like smashing him into the rock and then pulling him out and then smashing him back into the rock, like it looked really cool.
Yeah.
I think it's the best portrayal of super speed in a movie.
Yeah.
And they
I
did a
will
superhero
say
movie.
that the one in the X-Men movie, the first time they do it, when he's like spinning around, that
Oh,
one is
yeah.
the only one that rivals this, I will say.
Yeah, I agree with you, but then they did it like 4 more times, and I'm like,
That's
okay,
why I say that one, because it was the first
yeah.
one and it was the best one. It's the like
Oh.
everyone after that
Yep.
was just like a step down the ladder of like quality.
Yeah.
Mhm. And because we were
Um,
expecting it too.
Me and Brett on the same wavelength about this.
It also just gives me a lot of hope for Hawkeye because I was concerned. I was
In
concerned
what
about
way?
Echo. So in Hawkeye,
Oh,
they're doing
Echo.
Oh.
and I know that they cast an actual deaf Native
This is
American
a really good
actress.
point. This is a really
Yeah,
good point.
yeah. So they and Echo's getting her own show, and I was just really concerned that they were gonna fuck up handling a because they made Hawkeye like a hearing character when he famously can't hear. I was concerned about Echo, and seeing how they handled Makari makes me a little more confident in how Echo's going to be handled. Because, like, to cast a deaf Native American actress is one thing, and that's great that they did that, but you could still, like, just force that actress to lip read and not do the sign. And so this has me, like, I have a little more confidence in them now. Um, especially because also it wasn't a trauma. She was just like, I'm dope, like just doing my
Mhm.
thing, and I hang out in this ship, and I got all these fucking cool relics around me, and like just living the dream.
Like
She's just speed
Excalibur
reading
is
every
just there.
book. Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah. Um.
Athena, of
I'm,
course, has a thing with King Arthur. Like that's the funniest shit.
I
And
know.
then Kingo bringing up that Thor used to follow him around. Another one that like, yeah,
Yeah, just
just
a
like bringing up,
quick throwaway line.
yeah. But that's
That
the
has
shit that us millennials and Gen Z like.
Yeah.
That's what we look for.
And
Yep.
it has me amped for Hercules showing up in Thor 4, right?
Yeah.
I did
Because
not know
seeing
he
how
was going to
that
be in that.
yeah, he's
I
I
didn't know
don't they
that.
just announced who's playing him. I don't remember who it was though.
Please make it be what's his name's younger brother, the dude who plays Thor, Chris
You
Hemsworth.
wanted to be Liam Hemsworth?
Yeah, that would be so good. Oh my gosh! Please, Marvel, please, God. I know they already cast it, but you got to
So,
recast it.
okay, so it isn't officially out yet, actually, but
Gotcha.
the top runner is Henry Cavill.
Okay.
Okay, why
Okay.
you got to do that to me though?
Get out of the DCU, man. Come over to the good side.
But also, we can find a better character than Hercules for Henry Cavill. Come on, like this dude deserves like a seat at the table.
Yeah, but I really want to see Russell Crowe as Zeus yell at Henry Cavill.
That's a
Because
good.
I'm really excited
Ooh.
for Russell Crowe as Zeus, just because that's really funny casting to me. Um,
Now, one thing I
I
do
just
want to
go
quick
ahead.
bring up. So, end of the movie, they beat the Celestial that's getting birthed from Earth. It's just sitting in the Indian Ocean.
Yeah. What?
Like that's gotta be like a huge plot point for the MCU going forward. Like there's just a Celestial sitting in Earth. Like
Yeah.
Half
I don't know.
emerged. The rest of them's in there. Like the rest of them's
Yeah.
still down in there. You can go to the planet's core right now if you follow that stone down. That's not structurally
and
safe.
that's another thing. It's not ice. Like I listened to the Kind of Funny in review of this episode, and they said that's marble. So all that water is getting displaced.
Oh wow.
I think
Yeah,
I
didn't
think
think
that's
about
the one reason they threw in that scene of the water running out through his eyes. I think they were trying to be like, it's a natural like spring now. And I'm like, I think we're yada yadaing rocks and like how rocks work.
Yeah.
They won't
Because
address it for 6 movies, and then it'll be a big deal. Watch.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
6
That
exactly.
whole part that
Yeah.
whole part with like the water when people were thinking
Phase
it was
5.
like hinting towards like Namor for like Black Panther 2 and all that.
Mhm.
Nope, just a
Yeah.
Celestial.
Yeah. Just
We kind of
Oh, okay.
already talked about it, but the scale of that Celestial was incredible. Like, yeah, definitely see this on the big screen if you can. Same thing with
Like-
Arshem at the end. Yeah, like I was like,
Yeah.
wow. That
So-
that was like, I know they can do Galactus
Oh, yeah.
amazing if they could pull this off. So very excited
Like-
about that.
One quick thing I was just thinking, because like, you know, Marvel, they kind of had a thing going where they had like, for their post-credit scenes, they had one like kind of like one would further the plot of the MCU, then another would just kind of be like a Joker funny one. I was kind of hoping that they'd kind of go back to that after Shang-Chi, you know, kind of had the two like plot progressing ones. And I thought it would be funny just to have like the viral videos of like people like just seeing the Celestial IRL and just like,
Yeah.
what the fuck is this thing? Like,
Journey to Heaven, tore them, the Eternal. Somebody's doing it.
It was like in the Pacific, right? Like somewhere like in
Indian
the
Ocean.
Indian Ocean, yeah.
yeah. So yeah, that's like it's
Very populated area.
Mm-hmm.
Super popular. Yeah, they really just flew right by I think it was 3 islands that they the 3 islands that they showed having houses on them being just ripped to pieces and dropped into the ocean. I was like, "Oh, those people are super dead." But
Yeah.
okay.
So I'm
Uh,
just curious to see what happens with that Celestial that's just in Earth now.
Just vibing.
You gotta like mine it away, right? So it doesn't like come back and potentially like but yeah, because it's in the earth, like you gotta be careful, I guess, so you don't like.
You know
Price
what
of
would be
Marble's gonna
fucking
drop.
annoying about it? All the billionaires that live on this planet would be fucking annoying about the Celestial. Like they'd all try to do shit with it. Like just imagine like if that happened in real life, like what Elon Musk would be like.
Oh, he'd
gonna
go
mine
into. Yeah, he's gonna go and get like the center of the eye of one of the eyes, and he's gonna mine it out, and that's gonna be his fucking
Well,
dinner table.
That's the thing,
Exactly.
though. It's all marble now. She changed
Yeah.
it all to marble, so that's what I'm saying. Like all your marble countertops, it's gonna go down in price.
Yeah.
They have an excess of it now.
They just start breaking into this giant. It's this giant being that like births suns and like is the reason galaxies exist. Just humans mining it for marble for.
Now
rich
it's
people's
gonna be a
countertops.
coaster.
Yeah. Now it's a coaster.
Also, like, this is a completely different topic, but like Arshem's like, all right, like y'all stop this temporarily. I'll just hear you guys out. I'll see how the humans are gonna be doing, and then I'll come back and make my final judgment. It's like, bro, like he definitely is gonna come back and just smite us all. Like,
Yeah, dude.
we're horrible, we're terrible.
When he sees what we did to his kid, he's gonna be so fucking mad.
Yeah.
Okay, but I would like to be fair. We did not start it. Cersei is the one who turned him to stone. We were just resourceful.
But we're the one that turned him into dinner tables.
But we were resourceful, which is what the Eternals taught us to do. So, like, whose fault is this really? If we want to get real particular, I'm pretty sure it's the Celestials' fault. Because we're in this realm of like what's gonna happen next. Can we talk about Harry Styles, please?
I was
did not see
just-
that coming. I did not see that coming.
When that
know.
leak came out, I was like, that's not true. There's no way this fucker's in this movie as Eros of all fucking people. There's no way they're gonna go down that road. And then he fucking wanders in with fucking Patton Oswalt as a drunk leprechaun and like
The worst CGI I've
Oh,
seen
yeah.
in
Dude,
so long.
You know what? You know what that CGI reminded me of? It was like the Return of the Jedi, like special edition with like the
Half
band,
finished. Yeah.
the band alien that was like dancing, shaking its butt in front of the camera. Like that's what it reminded me of. I was like, bro,
Yeah.
what is this? Like the Celestials look so good with their CGI, and we have
They spent
this,
all their
like-
time on them.
Yeah, dude.
like just also I don't also know how I feel about them including Eros because now they're gonna have to explain that whole clusterfuck of that he is Thanos' brother because most Titans don't look like Thanos. Thanos was deformed, which is why his father abused him. And like they're both Eternals, but they weren't made by a Celestial. They're the Eternals that can just like be a thing and like exist and be you can be born an Eternal and like I just feel like it's gonna get real confusing real quick. And also Eros's powers are fucking weird. They're gross.
What are
Like
they?
He can do basically what Druid can do, but making you horny.
That is not going to be a superpower in the MCU. I can guarantee.
Like, a lot of his powers pertain to sex. And so that's why I don't understand why he's there. Like,
That is
where
not
is
going to
it?
be his route in this cinematic
All,
universe.
all I'm
Disney will
seeing
not
in
allow it.
all I'm seeing in the MCU wiki is just like superhuman strength, durability, all
Yeah,
that Marvel stuff.
yeah, he has all the basics of, like, he's got superhuman strength, he's super fast, like, he can't really be hurt. He's like, because he's not an Eternal that was made, he's not immortal, but he's like Thor, where they live for, like, thousands upon thousands of years, and they're perfectly fine.
Mhm.
And then he has control over, other people's emotions, but mainly pertaining to, stimulating pleasure centers in nearby people's brains, making them calm and open to suggestion using his persuasion skill. When physical contact is included, there is a direct line of sight between the subject and the target. He can use euphoria to force this person to become infatuated with him, objects, or people of his choosings, or simply make other people feel pleasure in his presence. Notably, the euphoria power has never worked on his brother Thanos.
Interesting. They're
And
gonna have
I'm
to.
just really edit that down.
Yo, why are you trying to make your brother horny, Arrows? That's fucking gross.
They're gonna have to tweak that, right? Because, or in
Yeah.
terms of not that. I mean, like the relationship between Eros and Thanos, because Thanos in the comics is part deviant, and they really don't go into that at all in the movies. So,
Yeah. Like,
um,
that's why I was so confused about Eros.
This is a
also,
montage cutscene, and that is all the explanation we'll need in Thor 4 or something. I agree
also
that like this is all issues, but
Mhm.
his code name is Star Fox. So shout out
Yes,
to Star Fox.
Yep.
Great.
it's Star Fox. They also need to get rid of the whole thing that if he makes eye contact with somebody, he can automatically make them want to either sleep with him or fall in love with him, because that's kind of rapey. That's one of those things that you read it in a comic book and you're like, okay, you see it in action, you're like, this is weird. This
Yeah.
is weird that if you look
Mhm.
at somebody, you can make them want to like sleep with, like, this is creepy. This is like weird alpha male on YouTube territory here. Like, I don't want it. Um and however, I do think what they're making him will be an interesting addition to this team, as they're going to save Kingo, Cersei, and Festus.
Mhm.
Faustus. Fat. However the fuck you say the
Fastos.
man's name. Fastos.
Fastos. Yeah.
Thank you. Um, his family was so cute. I
oh, for
wanted
sure.
Disney Plus series that's just him and his husband and their kid, like a Full House style sitcom that's
The
just like them.
the way he ran after Athena to get his kid away from her. No, like that was so
With the
I like
spear. Yeah.
yeah, just I love that scene so much. And usually I don't like that type of shit, but just like so good.
I loved
Like,
that, and I loved. Oh, sorry.
I was just gonna say, it was that, we've seen that scene where, they break Icarus breaks the table 1,000 times in trailers, but the moment, like how he shoots the glass and it's just like this shield comes up,
Mhm.
then he breaks the table, and yeah, it played out well in the movie, for as many times as
Yeah,
we saw it in
yeah.
the trailers.
Yeah.
I also just really liked when his husband, whose name I just straight up did not catch, but when his husband was like, they're watching the news and he's like, "Wait, you guys did that?" And Festus is like, "I love you so much."
Yeah.
Like,
Defuse the situation.
Mhm.
we're just chilling here eating pizza. I promise no one's gonna kill our kid. I hope.
The
Yeah.
Like,
The people that were
we're
going to, they were those guys. They're gone now.
yeah.
the we're friends from college line,
Mhm.
whenever they
For
all met.
everybody. Yeah, for all of them.
It's like, I
I
saw
love
that guy on TV yesterday.
Yeah, that was one takeaway from this movie that I had, was like it made me laugh more than I thought it would. Because
Yeah.
like
Yep.
all the trailers are like, oh, like the world sucks, and it's like this weighty like storyline. But yeah, it made me laugh way more than I ever thought it would. So that was a plus.
Yeah. It was good. Like I don't know. It's not, breaking my Marvel top 10, but it's definitely up there for me. Like I don't think it's bad. I
I
think the
don't
people who are saying it's like Thor 2 are insane.
Oh
yo,
yeah.
like it's in the teens of like the 30 properties that have come out. For me personally, it's like it's in the teens somewhere.
Yeah.
Like it's not in the bottom 10.
Yeah.
That's reserved for very few.
I had
10
said
to
to
be
Brett
exact.
that I said to Brett, yeah, that it was somewhere between like 10 and like 16 somewhere. Like it's not in my top 10, but it's not like crazy far out. Um
18 sounds good for me.
yeah, I think I'd put it at 16 right now. It's
Yeah.
I think I
just
got about 20.
yeah.
20.
That's a solid spot. I can
Yeah,
respect it.
it's not the best thing they've ever made, but it's
Mhm.
good. And it's also like I was trying to be fair to it too, that like we're still like in that period of we're getting origin stories again, which is like a period of
Mhm.
Marvel we haven't been in for a while. So I try to have a little more leeway when it's like these very like self-contained beginnings of things. The way they introduced Dane Whitman was really cool, that it was just the throwaway line about his uncle and then him with the box.
The Ebony Blade.
Yeah, him as a little ebony blade. I had to inform a man in my theater that that was not Nick Fury talking at the end of that thing, because the guy
Everybody
behind
thought
me,
that.
yeah, everybody thought that. And I went, no, no,
Mm-mm.
because the guy behind me went Nick Fury, and I was like, nope, that is not Samuel L. Jackson's voice.
Nope, sir.
That is Mahershala Ali.
See, my friend and I
And
went and saw this Thursday night, so it still hadn't come out yet that it was Blade.
Mahershala.
So
Yeah.
I just love Mahershala Ali, and he's like one of the few actors that like I know his voice.
mhm.
I'm also dumb excited for Blade because I unironically like the Wesley Snipes trilogy, so I'm excited to see a good one.
That's not
Um,
something to be ashamed of. I haven't seen those movies, but I feel like they're fine.
the CGI is a little rough to look at. It's a little weird to look at,
2000.
and like
Early
there's some
2000s.
Anyways, I
elements of it,
didn't mean to derail. Continue. Sorry.
That's
regardless.
wait, the second Blade movie, that's one where Wesley Snipes refused to open his eyes or something during a scene, so they painted eyeballs on his eyelids or something. Right?
I think it's the second one.
Yo, that's the
Or
most baller shit ever.
or they CGI'd it onto
I think that's the second one. I don't think that's the third. I'm 90% sure it's the second,
Okay.
but
Now I gotta watch these.
They're on HBO Max.
Oh
they
shit.
are.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
And like they're well done. Like they're not like thought was put into them. It's kind of like the Toby Spider-Man movies where like thought was put into them, but it still wasn't being produced by Marvel. So like, and these were made in the 90s. So like you
I
also have that lens.
I was listening to Spider-Man 3 in review before we started recording this. There was not much thought put into those movies.
I'll give you that one.
2 maybe, 3 no. Iron
Um,
Man came out a year later, and look what it gave us.
Yeah. I'm deeply protective of Kingo's valet. That's
Yes.
just a throwaway thing.
Yep.
I was
Yeah.
concerned he was gonna die.
Mhm.
And the part when he was like, "It's been an honor to be like with you guys," when they think that just the world is gonna end, him
Mhm.
being like, "It's been an honor," and the fact that he like said a prayer over Gilgamesh's like
Mhm.
Viking funeral, like, was just very, very nice. And I think they did a good job with the element of surprise. Like, I didn't see Icarus being the reason that Ajax died coming.
No.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was gonna be
Especially
straightforward the whole way through, and that was shocking.
mhm. Especially in that trailer, where they had that shot of him like struggling against the deviant and like screaming with the eye lasers and all that. Like, yeah.
Which, okay, he did not use those enough. I get that those are probably difficult to CGI, but sir, you have a power that is if you can see something, you can hit it.
It's gone.
Like that's all you have to do is you have to be able to look at something.
Yeah.
Why are you getting your shit rocked right now?
Because
Why
he
are you
has
letting
to
it pin
lead.
you?
Like when it's far away, he has to look where they're gonna be.
No, but like when they're in Druig's like Amish colony or whatever the fuck that was, and he's like pinned to the ground, he's like not turning all the way. So there is an arm of this thing right here, and he's not turning fully enough, or he's looking at a piece of it and not shooting it. I'm like, my man, like,
Well, I mean, you
His
could
head was
argue,
pinned
yeah,
to the ground with a
and
claw.
you could argue too that he was tanking the fight because he didn't want them to succeed in their mission. That's why he isolated Gilgamesh with the strongest deviant.
we'll never forgive him. How dare
You
they?
know.
Which I mean,
Gilgamesh was too pure for this world.
I would like to submit to the court that I would like to see Ben Kingsley character and the other dude from this movie, the
Oh.
valet. I would like to see them interact with each other, please and thank you.
yes.
I want Ben Kingsley to be in everything, honestly, after Shang-Chi. He was such a delight to that movie and like such a pure, like, I don't know. His character's like a little breath of sunshine and I enjoy it.
Can you imagine that butler or the chauffeur meeting that little like faceless, headless thing that
Yeah.
Ben Kingsley brings? That'd be so dope,
Yeah, we
so
can
cute.
watch Shang-Chi at the end of this week.
On Disney?
No.
Disney Plus.
Disney Plus. And
Mhm.
so the Shang-Chi Assembled episode,
can't
like
wait
the
for that,
making
too.
of, which, yeah, that should be out a week from Wednesday.
Nice.
Because they've been doing it a week after the movie release. Because like usually they would release Shang-Chi this Wednesday, but because the 12th is Disney Plus Day, they're not doing any Wednesday releases this week. They're pushing it all to Friday.
Yeah.
That's the other thing too, is everything I'm saying on this podcast might get fucked because then we're gonna get all this info about Marvel and Star Wars this
Yeah.
Friday. So like, who the fuck knows?
Stay tuned to
Um,
this Saturday.
yeah.
We're gonna have a
Yep.
Disney Plus Day reaction podcast.
If you
Is that
enjoyed watching
Friday, you
Chris,
said?
on the 12th is Disney Plus Day.
Yep.
What time?
The presentation is at
It's like in the morning, so
yeah.
while we're all at work, so that's why we're just gonna do a podcast at night.
Lame.
Oh no. Okay, we're all gonna have to not be on Twitter.
Yeah,
Because they're not doing a video like presentation the way they did.
they're just releasing it on Twitter. Yeah,
They're just releasing information. So anybody who of us who's gonna be on that Saturday thing, we cannot be on Twitter that day.
well, yeah, we can talk about this after the podcast, but that was more just gonna be a discussion about it, not necessarily reacting to it. So we can still be on Twitter.
Yeah, starting at 6 a.m. Pacific on Friday, they're gonna start dropping info.
Yeah, I'm at work at that time.
Yo, I'll edit
It's gonna be a
together a
rough day for
video
me.
if we have a group of people that haven't been on Twitter all day. Just saying.
It is the one thing I lose my shit about. Like I watched all of Investors Day. I hooked up my laptop because I was working, so I was sitting here at my desktop, hooked up my laptop to my TV and watched Investors Day the entire time. And was like live texting Jordan, all that. Like this is my like what you guys feel at E3, that's what Disney Plus Day is for me. I just get very excited about their announcements. Like even their Pixar shit, but anyways. Yeah. Any other final thoughts on Eternals?
I will read Bo's thoughts since he couldn't be here tonight. Let's see. It says so good that I'm mad it's not great. Some game critic whose name I don't remember about something entirely different from the Eternals. It was too long, but I remembered all of it. So I was engaged the whole time. I loved all the characters, which made the things I disliked stand out. So as soon as I learned what emergence was, I felt the stakes drop immediately. They won't literally destroy Earth.
Imagine.
Yeah.
Imagine that's how the movie ends.
Well, okay, well,
It's just they evacuate the whole planet and destroy Earth.
one quick thing about that. So
Mhm.
I understand where he's coming from, but I totally could have seen them destroy this Earth, and then it's like a multiverse thing happens, and it shifts to like a different thing, just because the multiverse is a thing now. But yeah, that's a good point though.
Mhm. Let's see. So would have been a badass miniseries.
Mhm.
Need about 30 to 45% more of Celestials. Agreed.
Yep.
But that's a lot of CGI, so I'm glad we got what we did.
Mhm.
So you could not care less about either of the stingers.
What?
Stingers.
The
Yeah,
post-credit
the
scenes, I'm guessing.
Oh,
yeah.
how dare you? One of them is Kit Harington. How dare you?
Which, I mean, I
The
guess if
other
you,
is
like me, if you don't know anything about the comics, I mean, didn't really do much. It didn't
I
really
mean,
do
I was
Oh,
much for me.
focused
And
because it's Kit Harington.
yeah, I don't know that much about Black Knight. It just means that we're getting a Kit Harington project, and that's really okay. So my two biggest celebrity crushes are Kit Harington and Oscar Isaac, and them being cast as Black Knight and Moon Knight means eventually they have to interconnect.
I think
And so, like,
he's
that's
gonna
the
be
only reason I
in
care.
Moon Knight, that series.
Yeah, that's the only reason I give a shit about that.
Clear. What'd you think about Oscar Isaac's drip in Dune?
I haven't seen it yet. Don't spoil anything
Oh,
for me. I haven't seen it yet because I want
yo,
to go see it in IMAX, and getting tickets to like an IMAX theater that isn't far away has been like a little bit of a bitch.
Yeah.
bruh,
Like,
it is.
Be prepared. I'm saying just be prepared.
I love Dune I love the 80s movie, and I'm so excited. And like, I've been crazy to people being like, do not, I know that I know what happens, but like, still don't tell me anything.
hmm
It's just been logistics of going to see it have been a time.
Yeah.
Just a couple more things from Bo. This villain could have been a lot more sympathetic. Thought he was going to come to terms with the fact that they both lied. They were both lied to, but nope.
Nope. Instead, he flew into the sun.
Yeah. So definitely down to see it again. ... Eventually.
I
Which
have
I'm
3 notes from Jordan that he wanted
Okay.
me to share.
Mm.
Don't
How
get
many
excited. They're
paragraphs
not.
are each one of the notes?
What?
How many paragraphs are each one of the notes?
They're each literally a sentence.
I was just
Uh,
teasing.
I liked the movie way better than the Rotten Tomatoes score would make you think, but I do think the pacing is a little slow, but I also am forgiving of it because it's clearly a setup movie. Druig looks and talks like a discount Ezra Miller, which
Wow. The shade on
Reverse.
Barry. The shade on
Reverse.
Barry, dude. Yeah. Reverse chance. That's right. Flip it.
um, I like what the movie introduced, and I'm excited to see where it leads more than I liked the actual movie, but I still think that's fine, and it probably falls somewhere to the middle of my rank. Those
Mm.
were Jordan's notes. Um, yeah, I'm excited. This is the only time I've been excited to see the whole like the Eternals will return. Because like
Mhm.
I wasn't sure what was happening with that. And also my last thought on this. Thank God Chloe Zhao chose to direct this movie, not Black Widow.
Yo.
Yeah.
Because that's what those were the two they gave her. They were like, you can have one of these, and she almost did Black Widow, and at the last second switched to the Eternals. And like, thank God, because I don't want to say I think her talents would have been wasted
Yo, I
on
was gonna say the same thing.
Black
No
Widow.
disrespect, but
There's
like,
just more to play with
yeah,
with Eternals, whereas
Yep.
yeah, with Black Widow you only can do so much, especially at this point in the
Which they made the
Yeah.
Eternals a very diverse cast. Which
Mhm.
apparently
Yeah,
in the
and it was-
comics they're like all white.
yeah.
Yes. And it was great. Like they were all
Oh
great
yeah.
casting. Like
I
Cersei
did-
broke my heart. Sorry, Chance.
Oh, you're good. I just wanted to bring up like the little subtleties and just like the way that the cast was included and like their backgrounds were included without like beating you over the head with it. And it was so natural and it wasn't like trying to make a statement about it. It just let it be there. And I thought that personally, like the whole, like I was in love with Kumail's storyline in general. Like
Oh,
the
yeah.
fact that he was like a Bollywood star and was pretending to be the great grandson of this one dude. Like I just at every point, no matter the background, I was absolutely in love with it. And anyway, that's all.
Can we talk about how? Because I echo everything you said, but how Kingo kind of just dipped at the end of the end battle.
That not cool. Like,
I was like,
yeah.
bro, pick a side, dude. Just pick a side. Pick one
I
side.
I feel that way, but at the same time, like I'm also like, all right, so like he loves both sides, so like he doesn't feel like he can participate in this because like he's on Icarus's side, but like he loves these guys so much that like he's not gonna do them any harm. I just wish it was conveyed more because
Yeah.
he says it, but it's not like immediately conveyed like, hey, I'm not gonna be in this next fight. Like they should have cut away to him and like his chauffeur like
Okay.
talking to him and like you need to go back, like you're wrong. And anyway, that's like the one scene that like I really felt like it was screaming that it needed it.
Because I agree with you. I like that he chose not to, like, because he loved both sides, so he was like, I'm just not gonna. But like, he should have been like, because it's a movie. The fact that you just don't see him at all,
For sure.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, you needed that scene of like him
Mhm.
getting the pep talk or him being at the battle, but just like not taking part in it or something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah, for sure. I totally agree.
Yeah,
Is it bad that I didn't realize he wasn't in that final battle until you said it just now?
there's a lot going on.
There was
Yeah.
so much going
There's
on
a
that if
lot
you
there, yeah.
you could have said to me, "Oh, Kingo's in it," I would be like, "Okay."
The Deviant was doing the James Bond beach walk onto the beach,
Yeah.
just in the middle, of the Eternals fighting each
James
other.
Bond beach watch, beach walk. I love it.
I got
awesome.
very concerned that they were gonna kill Athena, and I was like, "This character deserves more than this."
Mhm.
Yeah,
For
well,
sure.
yeah, because when she was in the cave, I was like, oh, is she like done so? And then she was able to be like, nah, I'm still so powerful. I can just cut your head
Yeah.
off.
I
And, like-
feel like both of the characters in that cave were not given their due.
No.
Like I definitely feel
Mhm.
like that dude who was like starting to gain sentience, like you should not have gone that far with that character unless you're gonna do something with it. Like you should have like made him like powering up and like he's able to use it, but don't make him talk to them and be like, "Hey, we're just like you, quit killing us," and then they like destroy all of them. That
Right.
like is one of the most glaring things.
Yeah,
Mhm.
they didn't lean into that at all, and they definitely
Mm-mm.
should have, because
Yeah.
that's a huge element of the story, and they just. I mean, this movie was so long, but they literally couldn't fit that in, I guess. Because I don't know if you heard any of this later, but like this movie had some interesting developments in the background in terms of like the editing of the film.
I don't know a lot of it. I assumed that it was more complicated than normal because they were editing during COVID, and I know the whole. How do I put this delicately? Uh, mess with foreign markets and like
Oh,
that whole debate.
Yeah.
Specifically China. Because Chloe Zhao is basically persona non grata to the Chinese government. So
mm.
I know a lot of that, but beyond that, I don't know a lot about the behind the scenes stuff for this.
I think it was just the different ideologies of like the MCU kind of committee wanting a typical Marvel flick, and Zhao like with her filmmaking tendencies wanted to influence more of that, and then also because she won the Oscar, she had more juice during the
Mhm.
editing of the film, so there was like that kind of conflict, I think, going on in the
Yeah,
background. Although she
and
said she wanted to do another one, so maybe
What
she.
happened with her in China?
so she is at least partly Chinese. I'm not sure if she's fully Chinese, but she is very critical of the Chinese government, which
Oh.
is absolutely fair.
Yeah.
And she after she won the Oscar for I think it's Nomadland is what
Mhm,
she
Yep.
directed. Um After she won that Oscar, she used the platform she was given to talk about China and the issues with censorship and everything going on with what was going on with Hong Kong at the time. Because remember around the 2020 Oscars or 2021 Oscars, that was also happening.
Mhm.
She was very critical of she is a Chinese born. She is fully
Okay.
Chinese, okay. Yeah, so she was born in Beijing and she's very critical of the government. So like the thing with Eternals is Eternals is the first Marvel's movie to not censor for foreign markets. And when they say they're censoring for foreign markets, yeah, it's so that the movie can release in like Saudi Arabia and all that place. It's mainly for China because that's where the majority of the money is. With the cast and director that they had, Disney could not have gotten away with censoring this movie. I think add on top that from the get-go they didn't have a chance of this movie releasing in China. They were like, fuck it.
Well,
But
there's just
Can
a
I
whole. Yeah.
Real quick, fun fact: sex scenes also not allowed in some areas of the world. I know
Mhm.
in the Middle East, there's quite a few countries that don't allow them, and if they're not allowing them to edit it for their country, a lot of like, I mean, obviously, some of the other stuff goes against more rigid rules, but I know that specifically is like a
Mhm.
no go in a lot of countries.
The big thing they had, the reason Saudi Arabia refused to release it is because of the scene where Festus kisses his husband.
Oh,
Uh,
I
yeah,
assume that, but
because you know it's fine to let children watch Richard Madden and Gemma Chan fuck in a very like
well, no, it's not like in most of the countries that like him kissing a man is banned. So is sex scenes.
yeah.
So like Richard Madden, fucking Emma Chan would be banned in a majority of those same countries,
Mhm.
which is
Uh-huh.
almost why I feel like that was in there because they
Yeah.
haven't been able to do it in a previous Marvel movie.
Yeah, they just had it on the Netflix shows, and like I'm gonna throw this out there. This was a
It was hot.
prettier, I guess. Sure, yeah, it was less. So the only sex scenes I'm used to having in the MCU were the ones in Jessica Jones, which are not very often love connections.
Oh no, they
I'm
fucking.
yeah, I'm trying.
They
Oh my
hard
god.
F you fucking. Like
Yeah. And in this, it was very pretty and it was a whole thing. And like, you know, it's a very like emotional experience. And then in fucking Jessica Jones, it's just I mean, one of the opening
Mhm.
scenes in Jessica Jones is her and Luke Cage. So like just going at it. He breaks the wall.
oh, I
Um,
forgot about that scene.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, so, you know, that was just very because I don't know, like I had heard that, oh, there's a sex scene, and I was like, oh, it's gonna be 2 seconds long. Like it's not gonna be long. And then no. Went
I mean,
on for a little while.
it was an MCU sex scene. Like it's just chest up, 30 seconds. Like it's not
Yeah.
anything.
It's not,
Mhm.
rated R, full on anything,
It's
which I
not a
also
Mass
appreciate.
Effect sex scene. I'll put it that way, right, Brett? It's not that
That's right,
graphic.
dude. That's right.
Which, like, not for nothing, I'm not a like spare the children person. I just don't necessarily want to see that during a Marvel movie. Like, that's not what I'm here for.
And
Yeah.
see,
At
like,
this
I'm the
moment.
guy that's like,
Well,
let it be rated R. Everything rated R, fuck the kids. Like,
that's the whole
That's the
thing.
thing.
That's the whole
But
discussion with the MCU of like, are they ever gonna cross like genre boundaries and just decision boundaries of like what they want a MCU movie to be? You
I
know what I
thought
mean?
that they already said that Deadpool 3 was going to be rated
yeah,
R. But
Kevin
beyond
Feige's
that,
saying that Deadpool 3 is gonna have a rated R.
which thank God, the one
Yeah.
thing that's like saving it and setting it apart, but also like that one is grandfathered in because it was previously rated R. There's not going to be a second Logan movie. That was the only other rated R superhero movie. Like, are we going to, like, is a Wolverine movie going to be rated R? No.
I want the
I don't
Blade
think they
movie to
ever
be
will.
rated R.
That one, maybe.
I really
I
want
could see
Blade to
that.
be rated R. Um, I don't know. Like, I'm really like I'm getting into the weird, like, scary quote unquote shit that they're starting to get into with Marvel. And I remember when they were developing Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, they were saying that they had to be super careful because they were teetering that line into having to make that
Mm.
movie rated R, and they had to like bring themselves back. And I feel like it's hard because a rated R Captain America movie, like I can't imagine what that looks like. But like a
Oh,
rated
I
R,
can.
like oh, I can't. Like I
You
can't
take the
imagine what a rated
first
R Cap
15
movie looks like.
minutes of Winter Soldier and you add blood. That is a rated R. Like that, those first 15 minutes of Winter
Oh, on the
Soldier
boat, on the
are
boat, yeah.
so
The boat,
violent
yeah.
and up until he
Mhm.
leads into fighting GSP on the boat.
Mhm.
Like that is violent. You add a little bit of blood to that and some heads cracking open, it's rated R.
Yeah.
That's the Captain America rated
Mhm.
R movie. Next one, give it to me.
I just it's just like with the X-Men, like I can see an X-Men rated R movie,
Yeah.
Deadpool, like all that. It's like I guess I could see a rated R Iron Man movie, but like I don't know.
Oh,
Besides
he's in
putting in
war
like
zones and shit in the Middle East?
yeah,
Easy. Come on now.
besides putting in gore, I should say, I don't
Oh,
there
he
are some
curses.
characters that I don't know. Yeah,
And
like
he fucks. Like,
God.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I've derailed this so bad. I'll
No,
stop.
it's totally fine. I'm into it. I want a
Oh.
Thor movie. I would love if Thor: Love and Thunder was rated R, just because I want Taika Waititi to just be allowed to be Takio Watiti because he gets fucking weird when he's allowed to do whatever he wants.
How are you saying his name?
Takio Watiti?
Isn't it Taika?
I don't know. I've never actually
Maybe I'm
heard it
saying it wrong.
pronounced.
I
I've
thought it was
only ever heard
Taika.
Watiti
Yeah.
pronounced. I don't know. I've all like
Yeah.
by actual people, I've only ever heard Watiti pronounced, never his first name. So like I'm all going off reading.
I always thought it was
Taika?
Taika.
Takia?
But
I
anyway,
don't
I
know.
was just gonna
Anyway,
say quick
I
before we wrap up. I just want to do another quick shout out to Fastos, the basically the tech dude, just because
Mm.
he was so cool in this movie. Like the bracelet things to like hold up
Mhm.
Icarus at the end was so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I want everyone to go around and pick your favorite Eternal.
Mm.
Who's your favorite Eternal from this movie?
I can't remember her name, but the speedster, she was awesome.
Makari.
Makari, yeah.
Yeah. Chance, what about you?
I'm looking him up right now. Hold on.
I will say just straight up, it's Cersei. I fucking love Cersei. I love everything
Okay.
about her. I've basically already decided I'm gonna be her next Halloween. I don't give a shit. I love
Nice.
her.
Nice.
It's really it's been hovering between Kate Bishop. Realistically, it's been hovering between her and Kate Bishop, anyways. But like, I literally watched this movie. I was like, I'm gonna dye my hair black again. Like, I've already was on the fence about it being this brown color. Like, I'm gonna dye it black again. I love her.
Mhm.
She's great. And her
Right, how about
turning that
yours?
deviant into a tree is awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's for me, it's either got to be Icarus or Kingo. I like Icarus, not the turn, obviously, but besides that, like I really liked his character. Like I understood, like very early on, like okay, something's going on. He's holding back. That aside, like I really liked his power set and who he was as a person. And then Kingo, obvious. Like I just like even beside like I can see a direct path of like him upgrading his powers and just like what if he was standing on the Eternal in the final fight, what his power set would look like. I'm very excited to see what that possibility is. Besides just pew pews, like full on comic.
Yeah. I think for me, it'd either have to be Druid or Icarus, only because both characters had the same dilemma with their mission, and they both reacted to it in different ways, and I thought that was super compelling in regards to the story of like what are you supposed to do if you're supposed to be here for thousands of years but not make attachments but still carry out this like horrible mission, and like how do you
Mhm.
react to that with, and you're all powerful with all these cool abilities. And I love how Druig responded to that by removing himself and then fighting for good, and then Icarus, felt like he was like a slave to the Celestials, and he just had to complete his mission. So those were probably my two favorite.
I also feel for Druid because I can't imagine your powers being you can feel everybody's emotion around you and mess with it, and you're watching like a genocide happen, and like you just have to be okay with that. And like I can understand where he's like, I can't do this. Like I get that.
Because he
I like
brings it up. He brings it up. I think during that moment, or maybe a little bit after, of like, okay, we're not supposed to. We're supposed to be isolationists, but then also like we're helping them evolve. So like, what's the deal with that? And we're living in the palaces and their like towns and stuff. Like, it just brought up that interesting dichotomy of like of their role in on Earth.
Yeah.
I liked him way more than I thought I would. Now that you bring that up, he was way cooler than
Mhm.
he looked from the trailers.
I thought he was going to be the bad Eternal if any of them were going to.
Everybody did. Everybody thought because Druig is so against their like general mission. Everybody was like, "Oh, Druig's gonna be the one to turn on them," and then it was Icarus. I was like, "Well then," like they did a really good job of this not being a predictable movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, I think the Marvel formula has gotten to a point where you kind of can predict where we're going with this. Like before Loki came out, we all knew that was going to be Lady Loki. Like we knew those kind of little things even if they hadn't said it to us. And with this one, I had no fucking idea what I was walking into, and like didn't really know where we were gonna go I thought Ajax wasn't actually gonna be dead, so
I know. I was
Right.
like, is she like
Yeah.
faking or what's going on
yeah, I
here?
was like, "She's alive, this is fake," and then she just never came back, and I was like, "Well."
Yeah.
It was the same thing with Gilgamesh, I'm like, "He's not dead, he's fine." Like, they're gonna figure it out, they're gonna bring him back, and then they burnt his body, and I was like, "Well, never mind."
Yeah.
Like,
So one quick thing I did just think of, like at the end of Shang-Chi, one of the post-credit scenes was like they didn't know where the 10 rings were coming from. I was kind of thinking that might lead to into the Eternals, but they didn't
Yeah.
really talk about that at all. So we still don't know where the 10 rings are from.
I think
Yeah.
that's a very like logical like line to draw. Especially with Fastos. Like that could be like a Fastos contraption that's like gone
True,
out
yeah.
or whatever, and so it's like powered by an Eternal, which is why it's so powerful. I actually really like that if that's what they end up doing. But now that we've thought of it, that's not what it's going to be because they never
No,
have
not
it
at
be
all.
what people think.
This wasn't the movie I thought we were going to get any like inkling about it. I thought
Right.
Spider-Man Far From Home is going to be the one where we're going to hear about it again because that was that scene in the trailer where Wong's like, "Bye, um,
Yeah.
you're on your own." Like, but I was assuming we wouldn't find anything else out about that until Doctor Strange at the earliest,
Mhm.
just because. Okay. Sorry, my neighbor knocked something over, and I couldn't tell at first if it was they knocked something over or we were having an earthquake.
Uh-huh.
Oh.
California.
Yeah. All right. Well, any final thoughts on Eternals?
No, I
Okay.
think that covers it.
Yeah, it was a solid Marvel movie. I'm excited to see more. Marvel's getting fucking weird, and I'm into it. I say that every media club, but like, I like the weird. Um, yeah.
Hawkeye and Spider-Man.
So
Yeah, Spider-Man
Spider-Man's gonna
tickets
be
are gonna
fucking
go on
weird.
sale any day now, so that's gonna be super exciting. Can't wait for that.
Oh
That
yeah.
poster came out, and Jordan went, "We got confirmation for the Green Goblin in this," and I was like, "Where?" And Jordan had to zoom in
He's
and
in the
take a
back. Yeah,
screenshot
yeah.
to show me because I was like looking at this poster. I was like, "Where the fuck is the Green Goblin?"
Uh-huh.
It's back over here.
Um,
All right. Well, that does it for this media club. Yeah, be sure to watch on Saturday. We're gonna have Disney Plus stuff, which is just gonna make anything we just said not matter.
Yep.
Uh,
Yep.
with that, we will see you next time. Bye.
bye.
Bye.